Another week, another technical difficulty. I forgot to put myself on the show, which in this particular case would have been a catastrophe. There are some shows you could argue would be better without young Joseph James Hole, but this one I think is fair to say is not one of those, seeing as I'm the only one here. Nonetheless, I'm here to talk about All Elite Wrestling's Wednesday night television show known as Dynamite. I'm fresh off a fabulous podcast for Wrestle Purists, which was a really fun time. It was myself, Monty, and Manny, and we just kind of just talked shop there for a couple of hours. We got to talk about developmental, we did the video game, we did all sorts of stuff. It was very fun. Please shout out Wrestle Purists. But you guys know the deal. Every Wednesday we do a Dynamite preview show, right? That's the deal. Sometimes it's at 6:05 Brit time. Sometimes it's at 6:05 Eastern time. Sometimes apparently it's at 5:30 Eastern time. I don't know. That's what we're doing today. We're going to be here for about an hour. Then I will review Dynamite tomorrow sometime pretty early, I think it's going to be. But obviously you can catch it on demand. All that good stuff. All right. Let's do some Dynamite talk. Folks, a couple of housekeeping notes. If you would like to have your question prioritized in this Q&A format, you don't really need to, but like pop if you want to. You can send a super grin at streamlabs.com/late night grin. So we keep the lights on around here. As I say, this one just flickered. But that's always appreciated. If you do not want to, then you don't. I'll probably answer your questions on this Q&A format. I'd be fucked if I was just relying on those. Really, I have to answer the questions. So if you want to, streamlabs.com/late night grin. But let's talk Dynamite. Okay. I like to lead with this firstly. Big Pop, that rules. I agree. Fred Prince, we talked about him on the Wrestle Purist thing, but I am expecting a call back at some point. I'm sure it will rule. Okay. Here's what I would like to do. I like to lead with this every week, and then we can do questions and such. All right? Which match, segment, thing that is advertised right now are you most looking forward to tonight on Dynamite? Chat, drop your answer in there. For me personally, it's the obvious answer of Rey Fenix, Dante Martin, but I do think there's some interesting wrinkles to this show, so I'm intrigued what the chat has in response. We have we have a few different answers here. We have some Julia talk. We have the woman's title. We have Wardlow's latest chapter. This is interesting. It seems like the answer that come up most is Phoenix and Dante. I like this answer. Bob and Jeff for chaos reasons. It's fair. I do not know if Hangman is there tonight, Damon Grin. Good question. I do not know. Okay. That's interesting. I want to quick scroll up because there was a couple questions. Would you sign Wyndham and Cross? Absolutely not. But I'm willing to let Freddie have some things that he's, personal pet projects. It's his money. If he wants Cross, I'll let, God bless him. I'll try and figure it out. How do we get to Eddie Kingston versus the Painmaker? I don't think we do, but that would be very funny. I'm intrigued what they do with that tonight. There was no answers of Jericho Santana, but that feels like a match that's a big deal in there, like the way they tell their stories, and with that story, what that's been. I'm not saying I'm like sitting here pumped for it, but I think it's a pretty cool scenario, a good match. And I'm intrigued if we get any advancement of that tonight. I said it on Twitter, but I do think Jericho versus Santana could have an angle tied to it. I'm not certain of it, but I could definitely see Santana and Ortiz, having like their own backup tonight that maybe sets up something with Eddie. I think that'd be interesting. Brucey Beats says, watch Jericho screw Eddie at Capital Collision. I doubt it, but pop, fair. Neil says it's hard to know what will main event. I agree. The consensus seems to be that Dianna and Mercedes are going to main event. I think there is some statistic evidence in the sense that there seems to be a growing belief that just because of competition right now, the last half hour of the show is going to struggle regardless. So it's a chance to give the title match the kind of stature you want without having to like sweat the ratings because they're going to struggle anyway. I worry about it a little bit from a crowd perspective. Dianna obviously is brand new to AEW TV. I think the crowd will react to her because she has a reputation. Mercedes has not got a lot of TV exposure. So that worries me a little bit from a crowd perspective. But it's a title match, so I can't really disagree with the decision. It'll be interesting. Probably start with Dante and Phoenix. I would say so, yeah. Yeah, I would say you start with that. But I could also see them wanting to do bigger names, like you start with Danielson or something. In terms of action, that's definitely the right answer, Neil. But I'm not. They may want to go more star power heavy. They may start with Judas. It'll be interesting. Judas, the theme, of course, not the mid 2000s TNA heel. Thoughts on federation as a thing? People just say rules, right? Yes, it does. Adam Cole, very much so. Everything Fred Prince rules. I think Jericho Santana mains, big messy angle to finish. That's the thing, right? If they have that angle attached to it, then I think it makes sense as a main event. It's a story that, in some form or fashion, has existed on the TV show since the start of the promotion, because the Inner Circle has been a thing throughout the whole run of Dynamite, or was a thing, I should say. Santana is a guy who, you'd say he's standalone as a mid card, upper mid card guy, and I think the audience likes him. Jericho's a big star, so I mean it's a bad call. I do think that needs the angle tied with it to really pop in that spot. I mean, a good example would be Jericho and Garcia wrestled Silver and Reynolds in the main event, and that's a good example of kind of how they see Jericho internally. Now, granted, I vividly remember on that review show being, I don't know if they should have main evented, but it kind of captures where they see Jericho, and he's a huge deal for them, so he could definitely main event. Okay, I'm looking elsewhere. Dianna should main event. She's a star. Plus, you want to make the ROH important. The ROH. Okay, Bret Hart. It should main event. I don't disagree. I just think, I personally don't know if it's actually the best spot for them from a crowd perspective. That's my thing. Dianna is a worker that I have been very, very positive about. I think she's excellent. I really, really do. However, I do have concerns about her stylistically going out there and working a cold crowd. It may not be cold. I hope it isn't. I have no concerns about her talent level. I have concerns about just the style, following so many pops, and Wardlow and Phoenix and all this stuff. I just think it could be a struggle, and I would rather the match be maximized than just put to the main event just because. That's just me. It could go in the main event and work perfectly. I think that's the ideal outcome here, that they main event and it fits perfect and they have a great match. I know they can have a good match. I see them do it on Impact 4 months ago. So I have no concerns about the talent. I just don't know if it has the buzz necessary to keep them, unfortunately. But we'll see. Joe, what is your opinion on City bottling this game? Fucking owned. That's what they do, man. Champions League, they choke in Champions League. You get what you get, I suppose. I hope this ended and I didn't just say that before I score or something. That'd be terrible. Okay, let me tweet this. Okay. I'm tweeting a link here. Talking Fleet. Remember the Fleet 50 we talked about last night? Pom. Neil says, I don't think the women's match has enough interest from the casual fans to main event. Yeah, there you go. That's kind of the debate. I don't think it's a big deal if it does. I just, and Helico, factual. Absolutely. It's only befitting that for 8 weeks the Revolutionary Force and Sports Entertainment main events tonight. There you go. Maybe indeed. It is. That's fair. It is very much befitting. Nate says they've been hyping Dianna and Mercedes. So you would think that means main event by day. On the graphic, they're positioned as the main event. And they did a video on Rampage. I want to stress again that, if they main event, it'll be fine. Hopefully the crowd gets into it. I could see it in one of those deals where the match would be better in front of a hotter crowd. That's all. Not a big deal. AEW fans should be educated on Dianna. They're smart enough. They're definitely going to pop for her because she has that reputation and she's got like this. She kind of has that thing like where everyone talks about her as being one of the premier women's wrestlers, which I personally believe is the truth. A lot of people don't. I do. But there's a difference between that and like genuine investment. So, like, for example, you know how Minoru Suzuki, I know it's a hilarious comparison, but I did it on Purist, I'm doing it again here. You know how Minoru Suzuki gets reaction of like, people are just, they're aware. A lot of people react to Minoru Suzuki don't actually see him wrestle much. They're just aware. Well, in a very, very different way, Dianna Perez kind of has that now because she has that buzz, right? People talk about how she's a great success story leaving. The difference is, you know, Suzuki didn't wrestle someone that was like 1-3 or 2-2 or whatever in AEW. So it's different. You haven't got the investment in the counterpart to play off here. You just have Dianna and Mercedes, who we all love. Mercedes is great pro, but she's not had great television exposure thus far. So that's where I'm at on it personally. I completely agree with this. I love watching Dianna wrestle. So I hope all of this, you know, I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from here. Can we do 2 hours on the Blackpool Combat Club Road 2 segment? Maybe the greatest wrestling content ever. I know everyone gets mad when you say it should be on TV, but like, bro, that was too good to not get like a clip on, right? That was so good. And like Regal he talks on commentary, but he hasn't been able to do like full on promos, but a bit after the first week, really. I guess no, that's not fair. He did a cold backstage, but this was different because this was like a vignette, it was a pre-tape, you know? It's fucking awesome. Great segment. Remember Fleet Week? I do. Oh, Matty Guns, man. He didn't like that bridge from, you know, like actual work to Dynamite, and I completely understand it. It was a good idea in theory, but I completely understand wanting to have like 2 hours before you go from, you know, shoot Grimace to light the fuse and all that stuff. But without Fleet Week, there's no late night Grin. That's the best way I think. But before he texts me, then I thought I was about to get buried. Neil says, someone said Dark was good. I agree. And I like how the talent interacts with the smaller crowd at the studio. Gives a different perspective. I do too. I actually wish they'd do more of it, honestly. I wish they'd do more promo stuff where the talent can really interact with the crowd and not worry about if I mess up, it's taped. If I mess up, there's 20 people here, you know, whatever it may be. I'm actually big on the studio as a benefit to the promotion. I don't think they've really explored it yet, format-wise. But that's just me. We have a super grin from our guy, Road Prime. Great brother. He says, how will Scott D'Amore / Impact feel when Wardlow squashes one of their top guys in Big Cass? Pop. Honestly, I don't think it'll actually bother them much, but I think the hardcore Impact fans will be very mad, and it will make Twitter either hilarious or unbearable, depending on your perspective. But it's an interesting question. I appreciate the super grin, brother. Wow. Anti-City chat. Is Bob here? I want my £1 back instantly. Owned. I actually don't mind Man City. It's just like, you gotta, you know, you get what you get, right? When you have that good of a squad and you win all the things you guys win, when we get a chance, when us mere football fans get a chance to kick the shit out of you, we have to take it. It is what it is. Take it as a show of respect, I promise. Peter says they are the only title match. You're right, they are. The thing is, the Ring of Honor titles are such a grey area, right? It's weird. Like, Ring of Honor World title was like the middle match on Battle of the Belts, which is where they had the FTW title before. The Ring of Honor belts are weird, so it makes it less immediately obvious they should main event to me. And again, maybe they should main event. I'm just saying. Dante versus Rey is definitely going in the middle. There you go. Scoop from Brucey Beats. A scoop. Can't help but love the sports entertainment silliness. Absolutely howled when Jericho awarded himself the sports entertainment. Wasn't that fabulous? I think he's killing it, man. And you know the other thing too, and I've been pretty, as soon as I saw it, I thought it made sense. This was definitely the right thing for Garcia. 100%. And Yuta was 100% the best choice for the Blackpool Combat Club because he has like this, he's kind of sympathetic and there's an innocence to Wheeler Yuta as a babyface that makes him a really good fit, I think. He's kind of a clean slate as a character. Garcia, I actually think it would have done not more harm than good, but I don't know if it would have challenged him in the way this is challenging him. Doing in ring promos and just last week, I thought he was really good as a personality on the show. What you say he was struggling with? I think he was really struggling to connect and get over. So I think the Jericho stuff is really, it's really rocking right now. I like it a lot. I'm ready for the next step of the Eddie feud, but we did just do a fireball, so I'll let it play out. Okay. JJ is lashing out. He says AEW who are not invested but know the Dianna. Sorry, my bad. That's me reading. But no Dianna. I just did a Bret Hart. But know who Dianna is, a bootlicker and should be fine. People do that shit, man. That's the way we work as wrestling fans, Like as Chop says, Impact will be in a different place if as many people who talk about Dianna actually watch their program. He's right. It's just the way it is. Mercedes will do something very safe that looks incredibly dangerous and the crowd will love it. God bless. Sounds like wrestling to me, brother. The Mad Dog stuff says, with television ratings being thrown out for the next while because of NBA playoffs, AEW should take more risks and see what sticks. I like it. I like the mentality. I'll be intrigued as to what what risks you think would be a good idea. Not because I think you're wrong. I'm just intrigued what your ideas are. Feel free to leave them in the thing because I'm interested in what that would be. But I think it's definitely something to be said for it. Like the two women's matches on Rampage is a good kind of gesture in that regard. And it's like that Rampage is not going to be that's not what you're trying to maximize from a viewership perspective. So doing two real women's matches is it's a good opportunity to do that without having to fucking do your minute by minute craft shit that they worry about. So I agree. So there you go. Maybe that's a good reason to do Dianna in the main event. They don't need to do the Blackpool Combat Club match. They've done one last 3 weeks. Just show that whole video. I'm in the middle on that. I think in some ways the video would get them more over at this point, which they don't need to be more over, but I agree with your sentiment. However, the live crowd definitely wants to see them wrestle. That's where the vignette stuff is. That there's always a debate about the live crowd element. I personally think vignettes and pre-tapes are a big part of wrestling, but my ideal wrestling probably wouldn't be live. So what the fuck do I know, right? It's difficult. Nate says, I'm not the biggest Jericho fan. I hated the sports entertainment stuff at first. But he's quickly becoming my favorite character of his in a while. Yes, it's really. I know people get mad about it because it's such a cliche. He reinvents himself, and I get why people get mad, but he kind of does, man. I mean, dude, he kind of does that, right? He's prolific in that regard. Like whenever you think he's done, he fucking rolls it back again. So yeah, I'm with you. I think it's really good. Jason said I've got that Regal Blackpool Combat Club promo bookmark, so I can watch it wherever I need to get fired up or how. I love the Blackpool Combat Club stuff. Me too. Adore Regal, the only other good Brit, other than Joe. My God, appreciate it. Rarefied air there, brother. But I have a niggle. It's not the best use of Mox or Bryan in or out of the ring. I think that is a really interesting talking point. Let's explore it for a minute. I think for it to be a truly strong usage of those two, ready, folks? Ready for me to hit my soundboard here? It needs to become the big angle. And what I mean by that is they need to be the anchors, the centerpieces of the show as an act, rather than what they are now. Now, here's the thing. That isn't a criticism because they're early days, right? So you can do this thing where they're just beating guys and you're getting ready for whatever their big feud's going to be, whether they're feuding with the Undisputed Elite, who are kind of taking full shape, whether they're feuding with whoever. The Jericho Appreciation, whatever it may be. Heels, baby faces, who cares? The key is when it gets really rolling, whatever that looks like, whether it means CM Punk is in the middle of it, I don't know. Whatever that looks like, it needs to be major. I think how much they're on TV tells you that they want that to be the end game. But while we wait, I do understand the thing about neither guy is really having these big singles epics. Danielson is certainly being used differently to the way he was used the first 3 months. I think right now it's good TV. But this is something to track, and I like it as a talking point. the element of Mox and Danielson's usage in the faction is a very interesting talking point. JJ has fired back. He said, I wouldn't call Morrissey a top Impact guy. How many stars is Bob Fish and Jeff getting? And why is it 4.25? We actually had a game over at Wrestle Perez. Well, it's me, really. I just threw a game out there to pop myself. I asked over under 6 on Cage Match. I think it comes in just under. But Monty and Manny both had it over a 7, which God bless them. We'll see. Will be even funnier when Morrissey signs with the Fleet to be Tony Nese's heater. I actually just pitched him and Archer as a big heel team, and I popped myself pretty big. I'm not going to lie. Okay. I see some Man City slander, which pop. I'm a little bit behind, guys. So if I'm late on your chat, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just way behind. Garcia gets to be the PW champ while working on his charisma. He gets the best of both worlds. Absolutely. And that's the beauty of those contracts working the way they do. More talk about Garcia. The only thing about this Kingston Jericho feud is PMP are still stuck in the Jericho program. Yes. Yes, you're not wrong. That's saying that I think may be an interesting story this year, Santana and Ortiz, and where they go and what they do, and I just think it's gonna be a story. I don't know. I've kind of mentioned this a few times. I don't actually know anything. And someone told me Santana tweeted the date, which I think I brought up. Right? Someone told me that. So we'll see. Their usage is a really interesting topic because they're clearly featured and they're in programs and in angles, but they don't feel like a tag team that's got the hot hand and just wrestling tag matches all the time. It's a weird spot they're in, so I agree with you. Okay. Cody says, Joe, are you and Bobby going to be a 2-man booth for Fred Prince Promotions? Or can we expect a third person? I think Moro probably is going to be kind of leading the team on that one. I could be wrong. That's just what I've heard. Bob's a big fan, obviously, so we'll see. People tune out of vignettes in large numbers. That's why AEW doesn't do many. Absolutely, that is. I think sometimes there are times to make the sacrifice. Blackpool Combat Club, honestly, as much as I loved it, isn't probably the best example because they're already over. When you try to get a character over, I think it's worth making that sacrifice. But again, they aren't a good example of that, so maybe. There you go. Okay. Whilst Mox and Brian haven't got a main event program, it's probably still the best use for them right now. It may well be. I think, and to the same point, it's good in that it occupies Mox and Brian away from title pictures. If anything, I'd put them in the tag picture to build that back up. I like that idea too. I also think if you're not going to do that, Brian as TNT champ would be fucking awesome in the midst of this. I think it would be really cool if you was the pure champ, Brian was the TNT champ, and then the angle is Mox is in pursuit of the one that, he got robbed from him. Let's be honest. What was it? 16 months ago now? Longer than that. There's a lot of different stuff you can do with it. I think the real key to watch for with this is what they do at the pay-per-view. Because I think we all agree, Mox and Brian should be central on any and every pay-per-view they do. Let's see what program they have. We're going to find out pretty soon, I'd imagine, so it'll be interesting. Road Prime has generously sent us another super grin. He says, by somewhat stubbornly waiting for Kenny Omega to come back before they do the trios titles, is Tony basically wasting all of the factions. JAS, Kingston Santana Ortiz, Blackpool Combat Club, Best Friends, etc. I saw some discourse about this, about the kind of extended patience in terms of this trios title. I certainly think there is an argument that some of these acts will be better off if those belts already existed. But I think you could equally push back on that by saying, wait until it means the most. And it probably means the most with Kenny and the Bucks starting that thing off. As a fan who's wanted those belts for a long, long time, I kind of have my frustrations with that because I'm kind of with your point of I'd like to see it get the ball rolling on it. But in terms of establishing the belts as a real thing and a kind of cool addition to the promotion, starting with Kenny and the Bucks at the very least in the final of such a tournament would be pretty will be pretty beneficial. So I see both sides of that one, much like Bob does with many social matters. But you know, that's just me. Very good question, I appreciate the super chat. Seriously, all the super grins. Again, folks, if you'd like to send one, streamlabs.com/late night grin. We appreciate it. All the support last month. You guys came out crazy for that. So we appreciate you. They feud with, I believe it's about Blackpool Combat Club. They feud with Joe, Gresham, and Moriarty. Then come together under Punk to run the promotion. Eddie becomes the soul of the promotion to fight back. That's some Holbert fantasy booking right there, brother. I love to see it. With Utah in the Best of Super Juniors during Double or Nothing, Mox and Brian should face Jurassic Express at Double or Nothing. And if it's me, I would shockingly crush Jurassic Express at the pay-per-view. Yeah, I think if you do the match, you kind of have to have them just kick the shit out of them, honestly. My concern with that match would be like Mox and Brian work as the de facto heels and get heat on Jungle Boy, but the live crowd just decides they want Mox and Brian to win the tag titles. It could equally go the other way where they get more into Luchasaurus because he stands out as such a contrast to the Blackpool Combat Club. I don't know. It's a match I would probably avoid. The more that I've thought about it in the recent weeks, I'm not sure about it, but I think it could work. Them as tag champs would be awesome. I think we all agree on that. Any chance Blood and Guts doesn't happen? What would be your dream 5-on-5 for it? I think we're definitely going to get Blood and Guts. I'm less confident it's actually this feud, the one that we kind of penciled in before, because it seems like they're doing it later this year. I mean, they've already gone past the mark on that. My dream 5-on-5. Let's take the Blackpool Combat Club and let's kind of go down the route that good brother just laid out there a second ago. Let's take the Blackpool Combat Club and let's throw in Claudio and let's throw in Joe. All right, that gives us 5. Okay. The idea would be that Joe, kind of turns or whatever it may be. I'm seeing a vision where, in fact, I want Punk involved in this. Blackpool Combat Club is so difficult because, Brian is kind of a heel. They kind of feel like a babyface act. Maybe you just bleed the King program into the Blackpool Combat Club. We've kind of talked about this before. And I vividly remember us fleshing out a little bit. With Yuta in Japan, what if you do the thing for Double or Nothing where that's Blood and Guts, and Eddie goes to Mox, and you kind of you do that whole drama play of Brian doesn't like Eddie, but he wants to fight alongside Mox because they've spilt blood together. Regal and his history of saying War Game's very funny, which would be a bit in itself. Regal warning Brian that he's the perfect wrestler and doesn't need to risk his career for this, this Eddie Kingston's, personal grudge with Chris Jericho. I think that would be a really interesting thing. Mox is kind of the middleman, just trying to fight. So that's one that's on the table. It's not a great answer, and I apologize, but I'm still intrigued by that kind of exploring that kind of Eddie and Santana Ortiz with Moxley now with the Blackpool Combat. That intrigues me. I think this is helping Proud and Powerful. They need to build up as characters before going into the title chase. I don't disagree. I think there's certainly strength to, their place on TV right now. I do. I think they've done some really good stuff, and I think it's kind of fleshed their personalities out more. I'm ready for them to be in that title chase that you mentioned, but there's a lot worse spots to be in than the one they're in right now. If you were to have a guy go in and win the Owen, not already in it, to instantly make them a star, who would it be? If you want to make someone like Lee Moriarty, who's a guy who, I think the upside there is staggering, honestly. So Lee Moriarty would be the guy. I don't think this is the year for him to win it, but to answer your question, that's probably the name that comes to mind. Okay. Would Kenny and the Bucks be bigger first champs than Blackpool Combat Club, though? Not necessarily, but they are a much more like... How do I put this? Because I love the Blackpool Combat Club. They're a more dynamic trio. Like, their matches as a trio are kind of famed. You know, Blackpool Combat Club is more like 3 awesome wrestlers working as a team under the tutelage of Regal. They're just different, that's all. More sequence-heavy matches and stuff, which is probably the style they want those belts to have. So, yeah, that's just my personal read on it. Remember, we got Double or Nothing, then 4 weeks later, Forbidden Door. Those 4 weeks of TV could be interesting. Sure could. Very much so. Okay. Nate says, I have wanted the trios belt since the beginning, but now there are so many trios, I don't know who I want to get the belts first. Yeah, because like House of Black makes sense, but then you could equally say they don't need the fucking dumb trios belts, right? They're the House of Black. Death Triangle will be perfect champs. Santana and Ortiz and King. Like, yeah, it's interesting. Get crazy and throw Rod Strong to the Blackpool Combat Club. Oh my god. The only problem with that is he couldn't wrestle Danielson then, you know. It's a big problem for me, John, but I like it nonetheless. Don't Have an Out says Team Taz should probably win the tag belts. The smart direction for those titles going forward is either Proud and Powerful getting them or FTR having all the belts. They need to be on heels soon. I agree. I actually think it's time to. Team Taz as the tag team champions makes a lot of sense to me personally because I fucking love them. I think it makes some sense on the TV show. My general read on it, the more I've thought about it, is it will simply be their equivalent of Swerve's match with Darby. It'll be a big match that Keith and Swerve cost them in, which is a bummer because I really want Ricky to have both those belts. I think he could really do some good TV just with that visual. Yeah. I think I'd like to see them win them, but I'm increasingly doubtful they will, unfortunately. But I agree with you about, you need a heel to get on the next natural direction. Okay. I see Blackpool Combat Club as a face act, even though they don't always act. I think you're right to see them that way. You being their young lion, the way Regal acts on comms, I think that's the right answer. It depends on when they have this Blood and Guts this year. If it's later in the year, I think the Elite and Undisputed will Blood and Guts. Yeah, probably. That's probably what they're waiting for, to be honest. No, I'd assume, honestly, it would have made sense to have already kind of got the wheels in motion on that in terms of King and Jericho and co. We have a super grin. Shout out to Leland. He says, greetings, Joe. With the Christian heel turn imminent, how would you handle the Jungle Boy feud? Would you break Jungle Boy out as a singles, involve a title, etc.? I feel this should be a big thing, but I worry it will get lost in the shuffle. Really good question. Appreciate the super green, but that's a very, very good question. And I kind of share your concern. My personal thing with this feud, and this is kind of like a broad thing, it's not great, specific, but a big thing for me is I do not want this to be, wrestling other people, pre-tape, one match. To me, the way to do this is, I think this is the kind of pairing that you can do 3, 4, dare I say, 5 matches across a 3-month stretch. This is just me. I understand people hate rematches because certain places do them too much. The way that Christian wrestles is not the kind of style that you explore everything in one match. And if you give him and Jungle Boy 5 outings, let's just say, and they go 12 each time, I genuinely think Jungle Boy will get better from one match to the next. I truly believe that. So I think what I would actually do, and this is kind of, I don't think this is the consensus, this is what I would personally do. I would get Christian as a character in a place where he's unsure of himself, okay? And rather than doing the big dramatic turn, which you could do and it could work, this is just me fantasy booking on the fly here. This question just came up, I'm thinking about it. I'll get Christian in a place where he's unsure of himself, and then he challenges Jungle Boy in a sort of, a sparring session of sorts. Now, by sparring session, I don't mean like anything beyond a normal match, but that's just the way you would frame it. It'd be a babyface match. And you do a finish in which Christian cheats, but has a certain degree of it was a mistake. It was an accident. Maybe he lost his temper. Maybe something happened with the referee. I don't know. You do something kind of creative in the first match. And then what you can do is you can up the intensity and do the turn in the middle. Because if you do a big turn, like if he hits Jungle Boy over the head with a chair or he busts him open or whatever, they're kind of cornered in terms of the match they're going to work, right? You have to go straight to the heated bloodbath, the brawl, which is great. But as a fan, and honestly, just trying to think objectively, I want to be able to explore that matchup a lot more than just them doing a big stipulation match at the pay-per-view. Does that make sense? So I would try and come up with a creative way to do it. I think there's actually a lot of opening to do that. Christian lost, obviously, to Cole, and they did the vignette, the pre-tape story where he was really mad, he threw the water ball. I would explore that some, personally. That's just a couple of things that came to mind when we were talking about it then. I hadn't really thought about it through before that. I hope that was a good answer. Thanks to Super Grim. But the big thing is, I don't want it to be a one and done. I hope that made sense. Okay. I still feel like Lee has the highest ceiling of him, Yuta, and Garcia. Me too. I do too. I think Lee has the charisma of a potential top guy, which I'm still waiting for fully from the other two. They're so young, I don't worry about it. I'm not concerned about it, but I do think it's more powerful with Lee. Yuta is obviously in a hell of a position right now because they've really got him over, which is awesome. But if all things are equal, I still got Lee too. Lee Moriarty going the distance, but losing to Darby in the final of the Owen Cup would rule so much, wouldn't it? I don't think this is the year based on the lineup so stacked, but I do think it would rule. I agree with you completely. Blackpool Combat Club is more serious than the Elite, and that's what makes them the perfect feud. Yeah, it'd be a really natural matchup. I agree. Some Rod Strong talk. Rod Strong, he's happy to bleed, bro. Let's do it. Let's book it. Let's get it going. Okay. I think we get Starks and Hobbs versus Lee and Swerve at Double or Nothing in like a street fight. I tend to agree. Love Ricky and Hobbs, but I don't think it's time. I feel like the belts have cooled off so much. You need a real established top team to heat them up, or a dangerous feeling heel team. House of Black, Freebird. That's a very fair argument. I think it all depends on how that tag title round was booked, right? I agree with your point. I think you could pull it off with Ricky and Hobbs, the amount I want them on the show anyway. But I do think there's truth to that. And FTR makes a lot of sense. But then it's that thing of FTR's working a babyface team. I don't know. There's a lot of moving pieces with the tags. I'm not happy about where the belts are at, I have to be honest. It kind of bums me out. Okay. What we got here? One more match, 5's pop. There you go. Okay. Well, hear me out. He cheats as a teaching moment, and then try both turn heel on the Dino pop. I don't know what I would do. That's the one thing about what I was kind of framing there is Jungle Boy is a guy I want to push as a singles. I do worry about what you do with Luchasaurus in that world. It's not even me being trying to knock the guy, but what you do with him with that Jungle Boy, I don't know. I wouldn't split the team up necessarily, but I'm certainly, when this reign's done, I feel like you got to look towards him being the singles, right? I feel like you have to. So, all right, I'm catching up here. Here's a weird one. How about Luchasaurus sides of Christian in a kind of bodyguard role? I think that's a good one. I think that's the kind of thing you need to come up with to keep Luchasaurus in the ball game. I think it's fine to try and explore that role. The problem is, kids love Luchasaurus, and I'd like to think you make a lot of merchandise money with him. So I'm sure that stuff comes into it, and you have to kind of consider that stuff. But in terms of just an idea to use Luchasaurus, I think it's fun. Absolutely. If Statlander can lose the alien gimmick, maybe Luchasaurus can lose the Dino gimmick. I don't know if that's a one-to-one comparison, Neil, but I feel you. I think they're slightly different in terms of their skill set and ceiling and such, but I get you. Yeah, it could happen. Good point. All right, so let's do I wanted to do some predictions, but I don't want to jump the gun because we've still got some time here. If I missed your question, feel free to read because I was going pretty quick there at the end. But I want to put Hill Luchasaurus in a suit and have him be Christian's lawyer. But he's still Luchasaurus, has the mask. God bless. I didn't even know that's what you meant, but I'm going to just assume it is. Joe says Big Cass is going to be Christian's here. Now, I'm not saying Joe is Tony Khan, but there has been evidence. Unless I'm mistaken, Joe once said that CM Punk versus MJF would go on at like 9:15 Eastern time. And I was like, well, that's too long. He was exactly right, specifically correct. So that could be the case. Big Cass may have a gig there. My God, there's a Nyla Luchasaurus faction. The ideas for Luchasaurus here, folks, very, very impressive. It'll be an interesting one to follow. You know, like, honestly, I wouldn't split the team. I'd just use it as, like, one of Jungle Boy's kind of one of the tools there that you can do when you're booking him. You can do the tag with Luchasaurus. It's obviously going to be different. All right. Let's do predictions. And then we'll circle back and do some final questions for the last 10 here. Because I like to do the prediction now because that was that one time where I fucking owned everyone. Remember the Kyle O'Reilly situation? Everyone got really dunked on, even though it was actually 10-9. Whatever. All right, I'm going to name the matchup. Chat. You can put the name of who you think is going to win. You can elaborate if you would like to explain the reasoning for such a thing, or you can just put the name. Let's start with the match that's got most people's attention. Dante Martin, Rey Fenix, the Owen Hart qualifier. Who have you got, chat? While you do that, I will give my own answer on these. Feels like Phoenix. I've said elsewhere that I kind of feel I know it sounds like I'm doing a bit, but I actually mean it this time. I kind of think Bud may be the last guy in this tournament. You do him and Ray in the opening round because I think you need something House of Black here, and I don't think Phoenix is losing. So that comes to mind. Like as Bill's Matthews says, I don't think he'll do shenanigans down. But then again, he did do some Ricky Stark shenanigans. Chop says he's got Dante due to House of Black. Road Prime says the same. This is interesting. I think Phoenix will get the win because it's his first one back. But I do think there's a chance you get House of Black. My personal read, though, is they'll do the Bud map thing as your House of Black advancement, and then we'll get back on track eventually. But it will be interesting to see. Obviously, House of Black is catered for tonight. They've got the electric segment with young Julia Hart. So we shall see. All right. Chris Jericho versus Santana. Quickly to answer this, Leland says, are there any open spots? So after tonight, there's one spot, Leland. So that match will probably be on Rampage because they need to get the tournament set up for next week, unless it's a mystery man. Maybe a Kenny Omega, as you say. Okay. Chris Jericho versus Santana. Give me your pick. I think the winner of this is pretty easy. I don't want to, I'm intrigued if you guys agree. I've seen the first couple of answers come in here. I think they'll protect Santana, but I think Jericho is winning. I think the big X factor here is if we get an angle afterwards. Jericho did get pinned by Santana in the tag match. So I think, it's a fair kind of you circle back around and you give him the singles win in a match that protects and ideally elevates Santana along the way. Feels like one for Jericho win to me. I'm just intrigued if we get a post-match. I really am. Seems like the consensus is Jericho with some multiple people have specified with some help. Will there be a debut tonight? If so, who? Not including the artist formerly known as Big Cass / Enzo. Well, yes, excluding him and Dianna. Probably not, but if it is, it's going to be after this match, I think, Josh, to be honest. That's my guess. But I wouldn't expect anything beyond those two occurrences. Okay. Yeah, it seems like Jericho is the general answer. All right, we just talked about a little bit, or I just mentioned it, I should say. Dianna Purrazzo, Mercedes Martinez, the Ring of Honor Women's title on the line. We have the interim champ. We have the actual champ. Many moving pieces. There is Impact Wrestling who are not tweeting about it. There's a lot going on. I didn't see any chatter about Kenny, but I could be wrong. Dianna and Mercedes. Who we got, guys? This one I've actually seen some genuine debate about, so I'm intrigued what comes out as the consensus. Wow. Immediate Dianna talk here in the chat. This has popped me. Kind of feels like Dianna's going to win this informal poll that we're doing here. I think. I just kind of think Mercedes is winning. Someone asked it in the chat the other night, and I was like, well, maybe, but there's a lot of Dianna talk. I'm taking Mercedes. I think that the promotion and placement of the match is like a good gesture in terms of you're not signed here, but we're treating you as a big deal. But I think Mercedes, as the signed talent, probably gets it. And the match will be really good. As I said, they had a really strong match in Impact not that long ago, before Mercedes came in, or even after, I think, actually aired. So, obviously, this is very few matches are, but this especially is not a case of which talent do you hire on. You know, there's a lot of moving pieces. I think the Impact situation means that Mercedes is winning. I think the placement and presentation of Dianna will be, very complimentary, to say the least. Speaking of such, Mad King says, Joe, do you think Dianna ends up in AEW at some point? I do. I think by the end of the year, I would assume she's an AEW talent. If you go back and read her interview when she first went to Impact, she kind of framed it as like, I want to get myself to a certain point here and then look elsewhere. She may have even been specific and named AEW. That's a really kind of something that I think Impact, there's no shame in filling that role. That's necessary, but she's really built her rep up and she's got the aura of a top woman star now. And that wasn't the case when she left WWE because her usage was so minimal. So I think that's been the plan for a while, honestly. But we'll see. It'll be interesting, right? She's done a great job of building her value up. So yeah, my guess is she'll be in AEW. But it'll be interesting. Okay. I'm seeing what I missed there. I just want something big from House of Black. Yeah, hopefully the Julia segment's good, Bacon. Hopefully. What's Dianna's contract situation? I believe it's up this fall, I want to say October, November. But I could be wrong. Is the Mercedes hater thing still a thing? Could that be a factor? I do not believe that is a thing anymore. I could be wrong. There you go. She said she wants to create a character for TV that works in AEW. She's done a really good job of. She's never going to be the most dynamic personality, but she has genuinely done a good job of becoming a confident promo and someone that can be, as you said, a character that works on TV. So, yeah, I would assume that process has kind of been completed, and she's kind of looking forward. All right. Up next, I don't think we need to do Blackpool Combat Club. I think that goes without saying. Even mentioning Bob Fish, Jeff Hardy throws me there. Bob Fish, Jeff Hardy is a hilarious match that I assume the winner is obvious of, but I always jump the gun on this. So I'll just ask, Bob Fish, Jeff Hardy, anyone got some action on Bob Fish here? I'd imagine he's plus 850. Local bookies. Any grins for a Bob Fish win tonight? I'm intrigued. It feels like Jeff's winning so he can lose to Darby in the first round to me, which is fine. But I think everyone's going to agree on this one. You never do know with those Red Dragon guys, You never do know. Look at Leland coming in strong with a Bob Fish, all caps. JJ backing him up. Yeah, this feels like the play, right? First round, Darby versus Jeff. That seems to work for me. Fish making all three undisputed in the Owen could be a thing, but I doubt it. That was a good line in the promo because they had some sense of doubt. Bacon says maybe Jeff beats Darby. I personally think that'd be a mistake. Personally. I think Darby should be in the, he's honestly one of the main candidates to win the thing. I definitely think he should beat Jeff at this point in Jeff's career. I don't think you're wrong to say that, Bacon. There's a chance, but I personally think Darby should win. I kind of think Darby should win the tournament, but I think him or Cole. Yeah, that match is going to be Bob Fish and Jeff Hardy is like one of the weirdest matches Tony Khan's booked. Pops me huge that he booked that match. Like Jeff's at a point in his career where he needs like certain style of guy, and him instead doing Bobby Fish, he's fucking awesome. Great stuff. Sam Joe versus Darby final Raw. Yeah, I think that's definitely the guy who beats Joe, right? You could because Darby can work a match where he takes he just bumps around, he makes Joe look like a monster, and then he kind of catches him with something. That feels like the play to me. Okay. All right. Is this Bob Fish first singles since kicking out the GTS pop? I think it's his first on TV. Yeah, I think he had a couple. I want to say he had a couple on Dark, like squashes and stuff. But yeah, weirder than Malachi Black headlining Dynamite Brooke Anderson. Yes, the headlining part is key. The headlining part's nuts, but at least that match was it kind of had some storyline explanation for it. Like the idea of picking Bob Fish to with Jeff Hardy is fucking incredible. It honestly feels like performance art. I respect it. Owen says, you think they'll do Cole and Kyle? I do not. I think I did see like Dave said they have big plans for Kyle and the Owen, and I was like, sure, I guess. Honestly, I kind of think you might get Joe and Kyle. So if you do the theory that Bud Matt is the last man, you do Phoenix and Bud. You probably do Dax and Cole, Joe and Kyle, and that leaves you with Darby and Jeff. Dax and Cole is very difficult because you're basically doing Sean Brett and having the Sean guy win, which is weird vibes. But that's what kind of made sense to me in theory, at least. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I did that there, just kind of thinking it through. So that didn't make sense. Feel free to tell me, but I think that's where I'm going. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm with you, Bacon. I'd love for Dax to win it. I just don't. I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it does. I just think with the tag team, he has such an easy kind of he can fall back on. They're the top team, But we'll see. I'm excited to see Dax wrestle singles matches regardless. Okay. I think Kyle just being in the Owen is the big plan. Fair. Agreed. Respect it. Talking of performance art, imagine Skip managing Red Dragon. Oh my god. Him doing like the thing. Well, he'd have to have his own thing because Kyle has they do like different stances, right? They get like a shooter stance. Skip would have to what if imagine their entrance with the I'll give you the reason and all that good stuff. But then in the middle of them doing their pose, you take like a close up of the rampway, and then this happens. Could you imagine? Fucking incredible. Any chance that all Dax goes all the way to the final? Look, there's definitely a chance. I just think when you're they could do Dax versus Kyle too with the whole tease commentation. So my thing was, I think I would do if you do Dax versus Cole, you can use Red Dragon to give Cole the cheap win. I'm intrigued by. There was something I had to. Shit. There's definitely a chance. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's sometimes too many things. So there's definitely a chance that Dax goes all the way, Hangman Tools, and I want him to. I just think when you're prioritizing which guy needs this the most, right? You go, okay, well, Samoa Joe's at the Ring of Honor television thing. He's fine. He's a legend. He doesn't need it. Dax Harwood, they got FTR, man. They're going to be the tag champs of every promotion before long. They'll be fine. To me, you come down to Cole and Darby, and it's like, one of these guys could do with this big win. And then you can debate that all day long, which one. But that's my personal read on it. But I think it would Raw win all the way. Who does Stephen A manage to counter? Stephen A with Team Taz. Stephen A. That's a really good question. It's very difficult because you need personalities that are strong enough that Stephen A just doesn't completely just become the team. And they, man, like Team Taz could do that. And you could also do an angle where like Taz, he brings him into like, their PR's bad. Everyone boos Team Taz. We need a guy to help us. That's Stephen A. Smith. You give him like a fake wrestling name. Imagine he just did wrestling under another name and never referenced it while doing First Take and stuff. Sometimes turns up late on Thursdays, never explained. Pop. All right. I just thought FTR could join Eddie and Proud and Powerful as they are pro wrestlers and left Sports Entertainment World. That would be the Proud and Powerful FTR part. That would be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Nate says, I've picked Kyle to win the Owen from the start because there are a lot of interviews that he's done lately. They mentioned him being Canadian a bunch. That would be bold. I'm not saying you're wrong, but that would be bold. Very, very bold. I think the eventual winner will have some kind of connection to the Hearts or Canada or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe. Jackson as singles on Double or Nothing keeps a big money name off the paper as well as the hot tag team. No trouble. Thanks for explaining my 5-minute monologue in one sentence. Good job. That's exactly what I meant. Thank you. That's much better. Road Prime says Cole gets so much time he doesn't need to win. I would like to agree wholeheartedly, but I do think after losing 2 big title matches, losing Orange Cassidy, probably should throw him a bone. I think you all know I don't really care. I'm just, trying to be fair, objective. That's just me. Oracle would manage Brock Anderson, the most boring wrestling act of all time. And Joe would insist it's good. Terrible. Very spiteful, Jack. Very, very, very spiteful. But I respect it. Okay. Darby really needs something. He's gone a bit stale. Owen maybe perhaps a heel turn in Stang at some point. Good Lord, would you imagine? Papa Sting turning the knife. I agree. I think it's the spot for him, honestly. I think that makes a lot of sense. Stephen A with Hook. Oh my God, Stokely with Stephen A. It's good shit. Where is this Hook Danhausen thing going? I think they're going to do the tag with Nice and Smart Mark at some point. Maybe next week, 2 weeks. That would be my guess. They'll do that tag match and then they'll, do some other kind of tag program. I think they'll be a team for a while, honestly. I know people don't like it. I do. I genuinely like it. I think it's both smart booking and kind of fun TV. So that's what I think. Endgame, not fully sure, but that's where I think we're headed next, directly. Stephen A managing the Varsity Blondes. Him doing this dude can't seem to do anything right about Pillman would be incredible. Yeah, I don't want Cole to win, but he's a good bet if they compensate him losing twice to Hangman. Exactly. Cool down at Double Nothing. Hookhausen is a very smart pay-per-view buffer because the people love them, but you can contain the action in a way that would really, really work. Okay, folks, this has been a pleasure. In fact, let's do 5 more minutes in case there's a series. Imagine you're at 59 minutes for solo stream. You're like, well, shit, I have one question. I would like to extend time. You have 5 minutes to ask said question. It can be about AEW Dynamite. Preferably it is. That would make sense. This is the AEW Dynamite preview show. Or it could be about MLW or some shit. I don't know. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. We're going to be here to an hour and 5 minutes. Then we're going to get out of here. We're going to give people a chance to watch this on demand. Then we're all going to go and watch AEW Dynamite. We're going to either say it's good or simply pretend it's good in fear of Twitter backlash, which is always very important. And then I'm going to review Dynamite tomorrow here on this free channel. I'm not doing it live after the show. I'm going to do it later, because timings. But so it'll probably be early tomorrow. Brits, you're in luck. I think it's going to be very, very early. But yes, we shall see. All right, I'm looking here. TK might book Omega versus Miro in a qualifier in the next 5 minutes. You never know, brother. It seems like tonight's card is set. I noticed he did the full graphic with all of the different matches, which is usually what he saves. But yeah, there you go. If I find House of Black Angle main events, I'm gonna pop, bro. Imagine Julia standing tall at the end. Let's do it. Giving us Serena Deeb treatment is a good one. Will you do an Impact Under Siege review? Is that Saturday? Probably, yeah. Is Backlash Saturday too? I don't know. It might fall in victim to Backlash. I need to figure out the timings on that because I think Jay Shell is probably watching it. So yeah, probably what happened is Jay Shell and I will review that, and then to answer Andrew's question, Bobby, myself, and Oracle will probably do a Backlash review at some point. I'm assuming, but we'll cover it in some form or fashion. Yeah, I want to see Ishii and Josh. So Backlash is Sunday. Okay, so we might do Under Siege, and then Monday we'll do Backlash. All right. This is a great question. Joe, what was the ceiling of the lethal weapon Steve Blackman had the Fed used him correctly? I think about this a lot. Great question. I think the truth is, it is not a matter of whether they used him correctly or not. It is more a matter of what is Steve Blackman's ceiling if he was placed in the correct era, you know? Like, if Steve Blackman's around like the 70s and the 80s, like, he absolutely works Inoki at the Tokyo Dome, right? Like, 100% they do, like, a shooter match. And, like, he knocks Bill out with kicks and stuff for a year, and then Inoki beats him in a 45-minute match after they drew in the first match and go 60. I think his ceiling was maxed out in 1999 WWF, but I just think it's really important we kind of consider the time machine element of this, you know? Like, what does he do now? Is he in, like, Bloodsport now? Is he, like, wrestling Barnett shit? I don't know, man. It's a podcast for a different day. I have to ask Oracle one time, but great question. Great question. Is there any way Kenny isn't at Forbidden Door? He will be there, I think, physically. Whether he's wrestling, I think it's probably... It seems like we're going to run it close on that, which is a real shame. But it doesn't seem like particularly positive. Hopefully he's back tonight. I don't know nothing about Kenny Omega thing, but I haven't seen... a huge degree of talk about it. Someone said there is, so I don't know, but I think there is a chance he's not wrestling. I would assume he's there regardless. You think Stu Grayson will be good for ROH, even though he'll be solo? Absolutely. I think he'd be great for the mid card of ROH or any brand, honestly. He's a very, very good wrestler. Not sure if you talked about this, but on Dark last night, Taz just blurted out the Shibata was backstage an AEW show recently. Yeah, I read the tweet about it. Fucking rules. I mean, Shibata's a legend. A lot of the guys that you saw on Dark, like he's students and stuff, so it's cool. I'd love to know what him and Taz talked about. Joe's reviewing tomorrow in order to craft his defense when Jeff and Bob pull a 7.23 or his victory lap for a 4.23. You know what? That isn't the reason, but I'm now decided that's the reason. Good call. Great call. What is the code man doing at the Fed pay? He's working Seth frickin' Rollins. Jeff Hardy versus Sting at Double or Nothing or sometime this year. Anyway, I think you might get Jeff and Matt versus Darby and Sting. I kind of thought we were going to get that. I think we may circle back to it. Predictions for the Monster Ball match between PCO and Jonah. Probably PCO. There's talk Jonah's leaving the territory, so I don't know. What's your fave so bad it's good match? The Monster Truck Battle, which isn't even a match, but it rules. Going to pop huge when Colby beats Cody this weekend. Bro, there's no way. I mean, there's definitely a way, but they should not do that. I think we all agree on that. He did, yeah, Steve Blackman did kick the shit out of Shane. Factual. Julia's going to miss Pillman and Griff. I'm going to pump my fist repeatedly. Fuck yeah. I wonder if Stu left because he felt like he was getting strong-armed into going to ROH. There you go. Maybe. It'll be interesting. Like, the thing is with that is it's impossible to know from the outside looking in, and it hasn't been reported on yet. But, like, a disagreement on money can mean many, many things, right? It's a disagreement because someone wants more to fill a particular role, or is it as simple as just, here's the number I'm wanting, we ain't going that high? There can be many factors, or it can be cut and dry. It will be interesting if we find out at some point. Okay. There are allegations that I love Jonah, which I don't appreciate. Josh says, do you think AEW will do a pay-per-view over here this year? Craven Cottage will be available for 4 weeks during the World Cup in November, December. The problem with that is, that's a good point I hadn't thought about, the World Cup element. The weather is the problem though, man, right? I mean, in London in Fucking June is dangerous enough, but in November, December, good lord. I don't know, man. I hope they do something here, even if they can't do the summer for Craven Cottage, which I actually thought they were going to. I was pretty confident they were going to, but that doesn't seem like it's coming, which is a real bummer. I hope they at least do an arena tour at the end of the year, you know? Feels like it'd be a huge, huge market for them. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a shame. They're doing Codeman and Brandy versus Tyler Black and Seth at SummerSlam, right? I don't think so, no. Reports are Stu and AEW can't agree on money. I imagine TK is adjusting the pay scale for guys re-upping. Yeah, look, and it is, it's unfortunately the guy's value has changed dramatically because the roster's got so much better, right? It's hard. I hope Jonah is going to New Japan to replace Fale as Bullet Club's heater. Yeah, that makes sense. I think Jonah's. He's a guy who gets both overrated and underrated at different times by different people. I've been guilty of both. I definitely think his shit will get over in Japan and he'll have a nice run in New Japan. But in fact, he may have already done stuff in. No, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think he'll do good. Some of his work frustrates me a little bit, but he's definitely capable. I thought Stu was most likely a breakout in Dark Order. Shame. He's a hell of a wrestler. He sure is. Craven Cottage is a bit too shitty, is it not? I love it. It's the only Premier League stadium I've been to, but feel like AEW needs something a bit shinier. Like, yes, everything you just said is true, but obviously the major elephant in the room is that it'll be a lot cheaper for Tony because he doesn't have to he's just that's their ground. But you're right. I do know that he told the Bucks that we're going to run this place one day as a wrestling show, so he fully intends to run Craven Cottage. For better or worse, I agree it probably will look like shit on TV, but it's still Craven Cottage and it's still going to have like 20, 30,000 in there, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it's a fun. I mean, I haven't been there in some time. I'm told they have like new stands and shit. But it used to be borderline archaic, to be honest, so you're not wrong. Joseph, who do you think has a higher cage match rating, Jonah or Lex? Oh, Jonah for sure. Lexi never did PWG. Honestly, Jonah probably should have a higher rate. I mean, he's a lot more good matches than Lexi All Caps, but the Lexi All Caps discourse will change eventually. I've noticed the shift. I'm sure you have too. Don't have an app. But I just wait my time here. Bobby and I will be winning and grinning, brother. Winning and grinning. Yes, Nate. I think Jonah's intention is definitely New Japan. Stu left the company, or is he just going to be on a paper appearance to it? It seems like he's left. It seems a lot more formal than what we got with Peter Avalon. But Sean did put in his report that the door's open. So I kind of think that may get worked out. I don't know. All right, folks. This has been the Dynamite preview. I said we're going to do 5 more minutes. We actually did 10. Okay? You owe me. Well, not really, but I'm going to be back tomorrow. I think that we may review AEW Dynamite at a bold, innovative, game-changing time slot. Dare I say that we review it at like 9, 10 a.m. Eastern time? That'll be 2, 3 p.m. here in Great Britain. Dare I say, that could be, I could just sleep. It could not happen. But my intention is we're going to do it pretty early. I want to kind of get it locked in. And then later that night, tomorrow night, that is, Backlash predictions. But we're going early. All right? It's probably going to be just me. In fact, it's definitely going to be just me. We're going to talk about Dynamite. It'll very much be in this format, so if you can show up, it'll be very much appreciated. So I just want to talk to. But yeah, it'll be very early. That's tomorrow. Enjoy Dynamite. It should be a fun show. I think it's as stacked the shows we've got as of late, but it's still a good one. Dante Martin and Rey Fenix, can't complain too much. As Jack says, Late Night Grin continues to influence the world. Folks, we really do appreciate the support. Phantom mentions it. Rampage, 10:30 here in Britain. 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. That means that Late Night Grin will be on at 6:30 Eastern time, 11:30 for us Brits. It is subtitled the Evening News, which is a pop. And have a blast with tonight's show. We really do appreciate all the support. Thanks for the Super Grins tonight. Thanks for all you guys do. It's been a crazy, crazy year so far. Crazy year. And sometimes I'm going so quick that I lose sight of all that's going on, right? And it's like, every once in a while I get a reminder of just like, we're doing okay here. And I'm very, very proud of the community we've built. And when people compliment us on it, it pops me because we kind of lucked into it, really. You guys just kind of stuck with me from the distraction, which I appreciate. So we're doing okay. We're trying our best. We hope you guys are enjoying it. And we're going to keep this thing rolling, man. We've got a long, long way to go. Both here, both on Wrestle Purists, all this shit I'm doing right now. We're at the very, very early days. This month, we're going to do the AEW draft that I promised you guys for last month. Jack couldn't do it. We're going to do it this month. Probably Double or Nothing week. It is Double or Nothing month. Then we've got Forbidden Door next month. There's a lot to look forward to. And every day that you guys pick us, whichever combination, whether it's me and Oracle, whether it's Oracle and Jay, or whether it's Shoot, Bobby, whoever, when you choose us to spend your wrestling fandom with, it actually is beyond words how much that fucking rules, because I know how many options there are. So you guys are the absolute best. I really, really do appreciate you all. I'll see you tomorrow for the Dynamite review. I'll see you for the Backlash predictions. I'll see you for the Retire the Rankings, which is on at 4 p.m., 4:30 Eastern time this week. And then the world famous Late Night Grin on latenightgrin.com. We appreciate you. We love you. In the meantime, enjoy this outro. All now.